The fifth most important battle that we will be talking about today is the Battle of Iwo Jima. I probably said that wrong. U.S. Marines invaded Iwo Jima on February 19, 1945, after months of naval and air bombardment. The Japanese defenders of the island were dug into bunkers deep within the volcano rocks. Approximately 70,000 of U.S. Marines and 18,000 Japanese soldiers took part in the battle. In 36 days of fighting on the island, nearly 7,000 U.S. Marines were killed. Another 20,000 were wounded. Marines captured 216 Japanese soldiers. The rest were killed in action. The island finally declared secured on March 26, 1945. It has been one of the bloodiest battles in Marine Corps history. The Battle of Moscow was the Soviet defense of Moscow and the subsequent Soviet counter-offensive that occurred between October 1941 and January 1942 on the Eastern Front of World War II against Nazi forces. Hitler considered Moscow the capital of the USSR, or the Union of Soviet Socialist Republics, and the largest Soviet city to be the primary military and political objective for the Axis forces in their invasion of the Soviet Union. The original Blitzkrieg invasion plan, which the Axis called Operation Barbarossa, called for the capture of Moscow within 4 months. However, despite the large initial advances, the Wehrmacht was slowed by the Soviet resistance, in particular during the Battle of Smolensk, which lasted from July through September 1941 and delayed the German offensive towards Moscow for months. Eventually, the Soviets would win in the battle and push the Germans back, which would account for a much bigger battle in the years to come. The next battle we will be talking about has been placed at number 3, the Battle of Normandy. The D-Day operation of June 6, 1944 brought together the land, air, and sea forces of the Allied armies in what became known as the largest amphibious invasion in military history. The operation, given the codename Overlord, delivered 5 naval assault divisions to the beaches of Normandy, France. The beaches were given the codenames Utah, Omaha, Gold, Juno, and Sword. The invasion force included 7,000 ships and a landing craft manned by over 195,000 naval personnel from 8 Allied countries. By June 30th, over 850,000 men, 148,000 vehicles, and 570,000 tons of supplies had landed on the Normandy shores, fighting the brave soldiers, sailors, and airmen of the Allied forces in the Western Front. The Russian forces on the Eastern Front led to the defeat of the German Nazi forces. The second battle that we're going to have on our list is the Battle of Britain. The Battle of Britain was a major air campaign fought largely over southern England in the summer and autumn of 1940, after the evacuation of the British Expeditionary Force from Dunkirk in the fall of France. Germany planned to gain air superiority in preparation for an invasion of Great Britain. The pilots, or RAF fighter commands, flying iconic aircraft including the Hurricane and Spitfire were supported by a vast network of ground crew during the battle. Ultimately, the Luftwaffe was defeated by the fighter command, forcing Adolf Hitler to abandon his plans. Here are some honorable mentions that we cannot fit into this video in full description, but can list. The Battle of Berlin in 1945, the Battle of Kursk in 1941, the Battle of France 1940, 1944, and 1945, the Battle of the Atlantic 1942 to 1945, the Battle of Midway 1941 to 1942, the Battle of Dunkirk 1944, the Battle of the Bulge 1944, the Battle of the Coral Sea, 1942, the Battle of Smolensk, 1941, the Battle of Kiev, 1941, the Battle of St. Petersburg, 1941 to 1943, and the Battle of Indonesia and New Guinea, 1941 to 1945. And now, for the one and only final battle, our number one being the Battle of Stalingrad. The Battle of Stalingrad was a successful Soviet defense of the city of Stalingrad, now being Volgograd, Russia. During World War II, the Russians considered it to be one of the greatest battles of their Great Patriotic War, and most historians consider it to be the greatest battle of the entire conflict. It stopped the German advance into the Soviet Union and marked the turning of the tide of the war in favor of the Allies. Stretching about 30 miles along the banks of the Volga River, Stalingrad was a large industrial city producing armaments and tractors, and was an important prize in itself for the invading German army. Capturing the city would cut Soviet transportation links with southern Russia, and Stalingrad would then serve to anchor the northern flank of a larger German drive into the oil fields of the Caucasus. In addition, seizing the city that bore the name of Soviet leader Joseph Stalin would serve as a great personnel and propaganda victory for Adolf Hitler. German war planners hoped to achieve that end with Fall Blau, Operation Blue, a proposal that Hitler ascended and summarized in Führer Directive number 41 on April 5, 1942. Hitler's goal was to eliminate Soviet forces in the south, secure the region's economic resources, and then wheel his armies to either north to Moscow or south to conquer the remainder of the Caucasus. The offensive would be undertaken by the Army Group South under Field Marshal Fyodor von Bock. On June 28, 1942, operations began with significant German victories. Thank you, all of you who have watched this video. Don't forget to go ahead and like and subscribe so we can hit 30 subscribers. Happy summer, and I hope to see you guys in the next video.